Can you find the fish? I'm gonna touch the fish. Can you touch his blue stripes? That's right.
Teaching with infants and toddlers is different and similar to teaching with preschoolers. Infants and toddlers, they're newer to the world. I think there's a societal expectation of babies and toddlers as being not as capable. And I think to really effectively teach with them, you have to be aware of where you might kind of hold that bias a little bit. It's just because they're learning something that seems incredibly intuitive to us doesn't mean that it's not important learning.
Do you feel it in your hand?
Earlier when we were looking at the drums with the babies, one of our little guys, I thought, he was gonna be most interested in the texture, but he was flipping it over and putting a shaker inside, and he did it over and over. He was experimenting and learning about the world. It requires a lot of understanding. You need to be kind of the vessel for all of their feelings. You have to kind of coordinate the dance so that everyone gets their needs met all at once.
For the older kids, they most of the time can say what they need or what they like, and so you don't have to only rely on their body language or their nonverbal cues. But with infants and toddlers, it's a lot of reading them and understanding and letting them show you and kind of picking up on those smaller social cues. So education for them kind of helps them express themselves.
Words are hard for adults, and it's even harder for children who are processing their emotions. They're taking everything in. Their little brains are sponges. They're learning and listening to everything we as the adults around them are saying. So by talking, you're offering them new vocabulary.
Do you want to put it on? Should we? Oh, no? Okay, I hear you. Good shovel. Want to dig? Ooh, the other end of the shovel. What happens? It's a little harder to dig.
A 3-year-old can say, okay, you've taught me what this word is, and I will repeat it back to you right here, right now. But my kids will say, oh, I've seen that. They will look at me and point it out the next time we're out and about in the museum. They'll point at things that they recognize. And so it's a lot more subtle and a lot more nuanced. The earliest question we ask the kids is, what are you looking at? Are you looking at this specific thing? Are you looking at this color or this texture? And just start having a conversation that way. They might not be answering you back in the way that we expect as adults, but they're talking to you. It's just their own way of doing it.
I think when you're teaching young children, having multiple varied exposures to an idea is really important. Play is the work of children. Giving children access to materials and ideas to experiment and play with, and kind of letting them do that work. The toy dinosaurs we saw in the classroom were a certain size, they were a color, they had skin and things like that, and then there were the dinosaur bones, and then there were the kind of larger wooden bone pieces. They were slightly different interpretations of dinosaurs. And so those multiple exposures to what a dinosaur could be is really important because objects are never just one thing.
Yep, I've got the hat. So many hats for our friends. Good job. One thing I always try to think about with young children is setting them up for success. I think there are so many times in our culture where we talk down to young children, we don't give them a lot of power, and they are so intelligent and they are so observant and they have so much capability and creativity.
If you don't spend a lot of time with infants or toddlers, you just don't know what they can do. They're so capable.